Lone Dispatch. The Vorkath Empire's grand station loomed ahead, a massive structure of gleaming metal and pulsing energy fields that dominated the viewscreen of Commander Ilara Hayes' small diplomatic vessel. Alone in the cockpit, she double-checked her equipment with practiced efficiency. The neural interface at her temple glowed with a soft blue light, linked to both her ship's systems and the specialized combat suit she wore beneath her formal diplomatic attire. "Commander Hayes, you are cleared for Docking Bay 7, came the mechanical voice of the station's automated system. "Be advised that all weapons systems must be powered down before entry." "Acknowledged," Ilara replied, her voice calm despite the gravity of her mission. As Earth's lone representative to the most powerful alien empire in the Orion Arm, she carried the weight of humanity on her shoulders. 6 months ago, the Vorkath had appeared at the edge of Sol system with a fleet of warships, demanding Earth's immediate surrender and integration into their empire, instead of sending a military response, which would have been futile against their superior technology. Earth's Unified Defense Council had made a different choice. They sent one soldier, one negotiator, one human. The Council's reasoning was unorthodox but sound. If the Vorkath truly wanted a fight, they would have simply invaded. Their demand for surrender suggested they wanted something else: recognition, perhaps, or resources. And if intelligence reports were correct, the Vorkath had never encountered humans before. They knew nothing of human resilience, creativity, or adaptability. That ignorance was Earth's only advantage. Ilara guided her ship into the docking bay, noting how her vessel, sleek and efficient by human standards, looked primitive next to the organic curves and pulsing biomechanical designs of the Vorkath ships. As the docking clamps engaged and the atmospheric seal was confirmed, she stood and straightened her uniform. "Neural systems check," she subvocalized, and the interface at her temple pulsed once in acknowledgement. "All systems nominal." The microscopic quantum computers woven into her nervous system remained undetected by the Vorkath scanners, just as Earth's scientists had predicted. The airlock cycled open, and Ilara stepped out to meet her welcoming committee. 4 towering Vorkath warriors, their exoskeletal armor gleaming under the harsh lights of the docking bay, and one smaller figure draped in flowing robes of iridescent material that shifted colors with each movement. "Commander Hayes," said the robed figure, its translator module rendering its clicking speech into English, "I am Diplomatic Liaison Xertal. We expected more representatives from your world." Ilara smiled. "Earth sends what is necessary, no more." The aliens exchanged glances. At least, she assumed that's what the subtle rotation of their eye stalks indicated. "Follow me," Xertal said after a moment. "High Commander Zax Tour awaits you in the Grand Hall." As they walked through the station's corridors, Ilara's neural interface discreetly scanned and recorded everything. The layout of the station, the positioning of security measures, the rhythm of guard rotations, all were cataloged and analyzed within her augmented mind. The Vorkath had no idea that their station was being mapped from the inside, not by sophisticated spy equipment, but by the enhanced cognitive functions of a single human mind. The Grand Hall lived up to its name. A vast chamber with a ceiling that seemed to vanish into darkness high above, illuminated by floating orbs of bioluminescent material. At the far end, seated on an elevated platform, was High Commander Zax Tour, larger than the other Vorkath, with battle scars visible on the chitness plates of his exoskeleton. "So," Zax Tour's voice boomed across the hall without need for amplification, "Earth sends one. One female. One unarmed representative." The translator conveyed not just his words but the unmistakable tone of dismissal. Ilara stepped forward, her posture straight and confident. "High Commander Zax Tour, I bring greetings from Earth's Unified Defense Council. I am Commander Ilara Hayes, authorized to speak on behalf of humanity." "Tell me, Commander." Zax Tour leaned forward, his eye stalks focusing directly on her. "Does Earth mock the Vorkath Empire by sending only you? Or does your species simply not understand the gravity of your situation?" Ilara met his gaze without flinching. Neither, High Commander. Earth understands perfectly. That's why I'm here. A sound like grinding stones emanated from Zack's tour. Laughter, according to her briefing on Vorkath expressions. You amuse me, human. Perhaps that's why your council sent you. To entertain us while they desperately prepare for the inevitable. They sent me because one is all that's needed, Ilara replied. The Vorkath around the room shifted uncomfortably. Even without a detailed understanding of their body language, Ilara could sense their unease. Good. Confusion was part of the strategy. Tell me what Earth offers, Zack's tour said, his amusement fading. Resources, technology, servitude. Earth offers something more valuable, Ilara said. Knowledge. The High Commander's eye stalks twitched with interest. Explain. I will. But first, I request a tour of your magnificent station. As Earth's representative, I should understand the full might of the Vorkath Empire before discussions progress. Zack's tour stared at her for a long moment, then made a sharp gesture with one clawed appendage. Hexertal will show you the permitted areas. You will be guarded at all times. Tomorrow, we will discuss this. Knowledge. That Earth believes is worth more than its freedom. Ilara bowed slightly. Thank you, High Commander. As she was led from the Grand Hall, Ilara's neural interface continued its silent work. Every conversation, every reaction, every detail of Vorkath physiology and technology was being analyzed and compared against the limited data Earth had. Already, she was formulating her next moves. The tour was carefully controlled, of course. Hexertal showed her only what the Vorkath wanted her to see. The vast hydroponics bays where their food was grown. The communal gathering spaces where off-duty warriors engaged in what appeared to be ritualized combat exercises. The observation deck with its breathtaking view of the star system. But Ilara saw more than they intended. Her enhanced senses detected subtle vibrations in the deck plating that suggested massive power conduits running beneath certain corridors. She noticed how the guards tensed when they passed specific junctions. She observed which areas required additional security authentication. Most importantly, she noted the strange energy signatures that her neural interface couldn't identify, emanating from a section of the station that Hexertal carefully avoided mentioning. Your civilization is impressive, Ilara commented as they completed the tour. Particularly your energy management systems. Hexertal's eye stalks twitched. How do you mean? The way you're channeling power to the station's western quadrant. It's quite efficient. Is that where your main weapon systems are housed? The diplomatic liaison froze momentarily, then recovered. I don't know what you're referring to, Commander Hayes. Perhaps your human senses are confused by our environment. Perhaps. Ilara agreed pleasantly. Where will I be staying during negotiations? We've prepared quarters for you, Hexertal replied, clearly relieved by the change of subject. You'll find them adequate for human needs. The quarters were Spartan but functional. A sleeping platform, hygiene facilities that had been hastily adapted for human physiology, and a small area for food preparation. As soon as the door closed behind her, Ilara activated her neural interface's full scanning suite. As she'd suspected, the room was monitored. Visual and audio surveillance, atmospheric composition analyzers, even sensors designed to detect energy emissions from technology. The Vorkath were thorough, she'd give them that. But they didn't understand human technology, particularly the quantum neural enhancements that were now standard issue for Earth's diplomatic and military elite. Her thoughts remained her own. Ilara sat cross-legged on the sleeping platform and closed her eyes, appearing to meditate while her mind raced through the data she'd collected. The strange energy signatures, the heavily guarded western quadrant, the way Zack's tour had been so quickly intrigued by the mention of knowledge. It all pointed to a conclusion that hadn't been in Earth's intelligence briefings. The Vorkath weren't just expanding their empire through intimidation and superior firepower. They were searching for something specific, something they thought Earth might possess. And now, with the station mapped in her mind and her neural interface connected to the subtle electromagnetic fields, that the Vorkath used for their internal communications. Ilara knew she could find out what it was. As night cycle fell across the station, Ilara appeared to sleep. In reality, her consciousness extended through her neural interface, sifting through the station's communication networks. The Vorkath's cybersecurity was advanced, but designed to stop conventional attacks. It had no defenses against a human mind that could perceive and manipulate quantum states directly. By morning, she had her answer, and it was more disturbing than anything Earth had imagined. The Vorkath weren't just an empire. They were running from something that had destroyed multiple star systems at the edge of their territory. They were building weapons, massive, reality-warping devices that distorted space-time itself, in a desperate attempt to defend themselves. And they believed Earth held the key to making those weapons work. When Exertal came to escort her to the morning's negotiations, Ilara was ready. She had discarded her formal diplomatic attire in favor of her form-fitting combat suit, a decision that clearly unsettled the alien liaison. "Commander Hayes, this attire is not appropriate for." "It's the only appropriate attire for what comes next," Ilara interrupted. "Take me to Zach's tour." Now, something in her voice, or perhaps in her posture, convinced the alien not to argue. As they walked through the corridors, Ilara noted the increased security presence. They were nervous. Good. The grand hall was more crowded than before. Dozens of high-ranking Vorkath lined the walls, their exoskeletons adorned with symbols of rank and achievement. Zach's tour sat in the same elevated position, but his posture was different. Tense, alert. "Commander Hayes," he greeted her, dispensing with formalities. "You claimed Earth offers knowledge. Explain." Ilara strode forward until she stood at the base of Zach's tour's platform. "Before I do, I have a question. High Commander, what is the Void Cascade, and why do you think Earth knows how to stop it?" The reaction was immediate and dramatic. Guards raised weapons. Officers chittered in alarm. Zach's tour himself rose to his full height, towering over Ilara. "How do you know that name?" he demanded, his translator unable to fully mask the fear in his voice. "I know many things," Ilara replied calmly. "I know about the 3 star systems that have already been consumed. I know about the weapon you're building in the western quadrant of this station. I know you're desperate. Then you understand why Earth must submit," Zach's tour said, lowering his voice. "We need your world's resources, your scientists. Our survival depends on it." Ilara shook her head. "No, Earth will not submit, but we will help, as equals, not subjects." "You are in no position to dictate terms," Zach's tour growled. "I think you'll find I am," Ilara replied. With a thought, she activated a subroutine in her neural interface. Throughout the station, lights flickered as her consciousness briefly interfaced with the Vorkath power grid. Just a demonstration, but enough to make her point. What was that?" Exertal whispered from behind her. "A taste of what humanity can offer," Ilara said, her eyes never leaving Zach's tour. "Your civilization is advanced, High Commander, but you've reached the limits of your understanding. Earth has taken a different path, one that integrates technology and biology in ways you haven't imagined." She tapped her temple where the neural interface was visible. "This isn't just a communication device. It's an extension of my mind. One human, with the right augmentation, can do what an entire team of your technicians cannot." "Impossible," one of the Vorkath officers declared. "Is it?" Ilara challenged. "How did I learn about the Void Cascade? How did I affect your power systems just now? You've been scanning me since I arrived, and you've detected no significant technology. That's because the technology is me." Zach's tour was silent for a long moment, his eye stalks focused intently on her. Finally, he spoke. "If what you say is true, if humans possess this integration of mind and machine, then perhaps we have miscalculated." "You have," Ilara confirmed. "Earth won't surrender, but we will face the Void Cascade with you, as allies, if you approach us with respect rather than threats." And if we refuse? Zaxtor asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Ilara's expression hardened. Then I'll leave this station with everything I've learned about your defenses, your weaknesses, and your fear. And when I return, it won't be alone. The implication hung in the air. If one human could infiltrate their systems this thoroughly, what could many do? For the first time since she'd arrived, Ilara saw something like genuine respect in the High Commander's posture. Perhaps, Zaxtor said slowly, we should discuss the terms of an alliance. One is all it takes. An alliance, Ilara repeated, allowing herself a small smile. Yes, High Commander, I believe that would be in both our interests. Murmurs rippled through the assembled Vorketh officials. Some clicked their mandibles in what she now recognized as expressions of disbelief or protest. Others remained eerily still, their eye stalks fixed on her with newfound wariness. Zaxtor silenced them with a sharp gesture. You claim to know of our weapon, of our enemy, yet you offer no proof that humans possess the knowledge we seek. I don't need to offer proof, Ilara replied. Your own observations of what I've already done should be sufficient. But if you insist. She closed her eyes briefly, accessing the vast repository of information she'd gathered during the night. When she spoke again, her voice was steady and precise. Your Western Quadrant houses a prototype dimensional inverter, a device designed to collapse localized space-time into a self-containing bubble. The theory is sound, but your power matrices can't maintain quantum coherence long enough to stabilize the effect. You've lost 17 scientists to containment failures. The last one occurred 3 standard cycles ago. The Grand Hall fell absolutely silent. Even the background hum of the station's environmental systems seemed muted in the wake of her words. That information is classified at the highest level, Zaxtor said quietly. Even most of those present here don't know those details. I know, Ilara said. I also know you've detected unusual quantum signatures from Earth's communication systems. You believe we've already developed technology to counter the void cascade. You're partly right, but not in the way you think. Zaxtor descended from his platform, approaching Ilara until he towered over her. Up close, the High Commander was even more imposing, nearly 3 meters tall, his exoskeleton bearing the marks of countless battles. Yet there was something new in his bearing now. Caution. Come with me, he said. Alone. Several of his officers started to protest, but he silenced them with a sharp gesture. If the human wanted to harm us, she could have done so already. Ilara followed Zaxtor through corridors she hadn't been shown during her official tour. Her neural interface mapped each turn, each security checkpoint, automatically adding to the mental blueprint she'd constructed. They descended into the heart of the station, the ambient temperature dropping noticeably as they entered areas dominated by massive cooling systems. Finally, they reached a heavily secured door. Zaxtor placed his primary appendage against a scanner, and the barrier slid open to reveal a chamber that pulsed with strange energy, exactly matching the signature her neural interface had detected. In the center of the room stood a device unlike anything Ilara had seen before, a spherical construction of interlocking rings that rotated around a core of what appeared to be pure darkness. The dimensional inverter, Zaxtor said. Our last hope against the void cascade. Ilara approached slowly, her neural interface automatically analyzing the device's emissions. How much do you know about what's causing these cascades? Little, the High Commander admitted. They began at the edge of known space. At first, we thought it was a natural phenomenon, perhaps a chain reaction of stellar collapses. But the pattern of destruction is too precise, too deliberate. You believe it's an attack, Ilara said. It wasn't a question. Yes. But by whom or what, we don't know. Our most advanced scout ships never return from affected regions. The only data we have comes from long-range observations, and they show nothing. Just empty space where star systems once existed. Ilara circled the device, studying it from all angles. Your approach is innovative but flawed. You're trying to create a defensive bubble, a pocket of altered spacetime that the cascade can't penetrate. Can your people do better? There was no mockery in Zaxtor's voice now, only a desperate hope. Perhaps, Ilara said, but not like this. Not with brute force and increasingly powerful weapons. She turned to face him. The Vorkith Empire has conquered dozens of worlds, built fleets that can devastate entire planets. You've approached every problem as something to be defeated through superior firepower. It has served us well, Zaxtor replied, a hint of pride returning to his voice. Until now, Ilara countered. Because this isn't an enemy you can intimidate or destroy. This is something else entirely. She stepped closer to the device, her neural interface interfacing subtly with its control systems. Your scientists are right about one thing. This is a dimensional phenomenon, but they're thinking too linearly. With a thought, Ilara accessed the device's operating protocols. A holographic display sprang to life above the machine, showing complex equations and simulation models. How are you doing this? Zaxtor demanded, moving to stop her but hesitating as the display shifted to show new configurations. I told you, human technology has taken a different path. We've learned to merge our consciousness with our machines. Ilara's fingers danced through the holographic symbols, restructuring the underlying mathematics. Your scientists have been trying to create a barrier. What you need is a lens. The holographic model transformed, showing a new configuration of the device, one that didn't try to repel the energy of the void cascade, but instead redirected it, folding it back upon itself. This is unprecedented, Zaxtor said, his eye stalks moving rapidly as he tried to understand the implications. But even if this works, it would only protect a single location. The Empire spans hundreds of star systems, which is why this can only be the beginning, Ilara said, stepping back from the device. High Commander, do you know why Earth sent only me? You still haven't answered that question, he acknowledged. Because humanity understands what the Vorkith have forgotten, or perhaps never knew. True strength isn't measured by the size of your fleet or the power of your weapons. It's measured by adaptation, by creativity, by finding solutions where others see only obstacles. She gestured to the modified plans displayed above the device. One human did this. Imagine what we could accomplish together. Zaxtor was silent for a long moment, his alien features unreadable to normal human perception. But Ilara's enhanced senses detected subtle changes in his body temperature, in the electrical patterns of his nervous system. Your council sent you to demonstrate this point, he said finally, to show us that force isn't the answer. Partly, Ilara admitted, but also to evaluate whether the Vorkith could be trusted as allies, whether you were capable of seeing beyond conquest. And your assessment is still being determined, she replied honestly, but I'm encouraged by this conversation. A strange sound emerged from Zaxtor, a rhythmic clicking that her translator couldn't interpret. After a moment, she realized he was laughing, though without the dismissive tone from their first meeting. In all my cycles of command, no representative of any species has ever spoken to me with such directness. He made a gesture she hadn't seen before, a lowering of his upper body that her neural interface interpreted as a sign of respect. Perhaps the humans have much to teach the Vorkith after all. And perhaps the Vorkith have knowledge that would benefit humanity. Ilara replied diplomatically. An alliance means mutual exchange, mutual respect. Return with me to the Grand Hall, Zaxtor said. I believe formal negotiations should begin immediately. As they walked back through the station, Ilara noticed a distinct change in how the Vorkith regarded her. Where before there had been dismissal or curiosity, now there was a wary respect. Word had clearly spread about her abilities. In the Grand Hall, the assembled Vorkith fell silent as Zaxtor took his place on the elevated platform. Instead of leaving Ilara at the base as before, he gestured for her to join him, a symbolic elevation that wasn't lost on the crowd. The human speaks truth, Zaxtor announced. Earth will not submit to the Vorkith Empire, nor should we demand it. Instead, we will forge an alliance to face the Void Cascade together. Protests erupted from several high-ranking officers. High Commander, we cannot trust these primitives. One demonstration proves nothing. Our intelligence suggests their world is divided and chaotic. How can they be reliable allies? Zaxtur raised a claw for silence. I have seen enough to convince me. But if you require further demonstration, he turned to Ilara. Perhaps Commander Hayes can show us more of what humans are capable of. Ilara nodded, then addressed the assembly. Your concerns are valid. Earth is indeed diverse. We have many nations, many cultures, many perspectives. You see this as weakness. We know it to be our greatest strength. With a thought, she activated another subroutine in her neural interface. The holographic projectors built into the Grand Hall's ceiling, intended to display star maps and battle plans, flickered and then projected a new image. Earth, with its swirling cloud patterns, blue oceans, and green landmasses. This is my home, Ilara said. One planet among billions in the galaxy. Not the most resource-rich, not the most strategically positioned, but unique in one critical way, in the diversity of its life, its ecosystems, its people. The image zoomed in, showing cities, forests, deserts, oceans, the incredible variety of Earth's environments. Humans evolved in a world that constantly challenged us. We've faced extinction-level threats multiple times in our history and survived through adaptation and cooperation. We've fought countless wars among ourselves. Yes, but we've also created art, music, literature, philosophy. We've questioned everything, including our own existence. The image shifted again, showing human achievements, architectural wonders, spacecraft exploring distant planets, quantum computers, and finally, the neural interface technology that Ilara herself demonstrated. This is why Earth sent one representative, not as an insult, but as proof. Where you see a lone human, we see a demonstration of what makes our species unique, our ability to integrate technology not just with our bodies, but with our minds, our consciousness. She turned to face Zaxtur directly. The Void Cascade isn't a conventional enemy. It can't be defeated with conventional weapons. It requires something the Vorkith Empire has never needed before, innovation born of diversity. Earth has that in abundance. The Grand Hall remained silent as her words sank in. Finally, one of the older Vorkith officers stepped forward. High Commander, I have served the Empire for 30 cycles. I have conquered 7 worlds and never questioned our methods. The officer paused, eye stalks swiveling toward Ilara. But I had also never seen technology like this, integrated so seamlessly with biology. Perhaps there is wisdom in this alliance. Gradually, other officers voiced their agreement. Not all. Ilara noted several who remained stubbornly opposed, but enough to shift the mood of the assembly. Zaxtur raised himself to his full height. It is decided. I will dispatch a diplomatic vessel to Earth, carrying my personal representatives. Commander Hayes will return with them to facilitate formal negotiations. He turned to Ilara. Your council sent one to show us quality matters more than quantity. We acknowledge the lesson. There's one more thing, Ilara said. As a gesture of good faith, I've left a gift in your dimensional inverter systems, a modified algorithm that should increase efficiency by approximately 23%. It won't solve the underlying problem, but it will buy your scientists time to work with ours on a permanent solution. Zaxtur's eye stalks quivered in what she now recognized as surprise. You had access to our most sensitive systems, yet you chose to help rather than harm. That's what allies do, Ilara replied simply. 3 days later, Ilara's small diplomatic vessel detached from the Vorkith Grand Station, accompanied by a sleek Vorkath cruiser. As the stars stretched into lines around her ship during the jump to FTL, she finally allowed herself to relax. Her neural interface connected with the ship's communication system, sending a highly encrypted message back to Earth. Mission successful. Alliance negotiations initiated. Vorkath threat neutralized. For now. Then she added a personal note. The Council's strategy worked. They sent one soldier to show what humanity is capable of. Sometimes one is all it takes. As her ship accelerated toward home, carrying representatives of what had been an enemy empire but was now a potential ally, Ilara Hayes, diplomat, soldier, and living proof of human ingenuity, smiled. The Vorkath had laughed when she arrived alone. They weren't laughing anymore.